Hello, members of Beauty, and welcome. My name is Sam Chaskin, Media Director of Chaskin Media. And before we begin, I'd just like to thank you all for being here and taking the time to listen to today's presentation. We're going to be tackling the media strategy for how we can best bring beauty to market and which medium specifically we have chosen to accomplish this task. Before we begin, I'd just like to briefly go over the presentation agenda. So, firstly, we're going to be discussing the objectives of this campaign and who we're going to be targeting. Then we will slowly go over the selected mediums, both 1, 2, and 3, as well as the potential cons that may arise from these selections before we then give a brief holistic overview of this approach. So, starting right along, we want to define our objectives and our target audience. So, in this campaign, Beauty is seeking to attract the women who are aged 18 to 34 in order to create mass awareness and drive sales of their fragrance products. So, in order to do this, we need to optimize and stay well within our $3 million advertising budget. And we need to not only meet these individuals where they are, but go beyond traditional advertising to truly tell our brand story. So, moving on to our first selected medium, and that is social media. In the wake of this ever modernizing landscape of media, I believe social media is almost a requirement. Now, moving along that, there's actually a heavy prevalence with our target demographic, women aged 18 to 34, with social media. Now, social media also has additional benefits that you can't find in other advertising mediums. For example, the variation in the type of posts that we're able to make on social media, whether that be from TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. As you can see, these are our three selected social media platforms that we're going to be moving forward with this campaign. These can be traditional posts, they can be reels and video content, these can be story posts that are up for 24 hours. The variation in these type of posts gives us the ability to be creative, be spontaneous, stay flexible, and really produce a wide breadth of content. As well as the ability to boost posts. So we can spend a little bit of extra money to boost the popularity of certain posts for various reasons, and as well as the ability to capitalize on the credibility of existing influencers via collaborations and trends that can really truly tell our brand story. So, in the case of TikTok, Instagram, we can capitalize on beauty influencers, which have truly risen in astronomical rates of popularity, as well as existing trends on these platforms, such as get ready with me trends, where influencers will just get ready for their day and use all the beauty products that they typically have in their daily regimen. This is a perfect advertising opportunity for beauty to really get their name out there and to use the credibility of existing influencers as they produce content that is focused on mood-driven visual content that truly promotes interest from this demographic of women aged 18 to 34. And then furthermore, these three selected platforms that we have chosen within social media of Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram actually have the highest purchase conversion rates of all social media platforms. So that means the percentage of users who are more likely to actually make a purchase based on the platform. So it's Facebook coming in at 39%, TikTok at 36%, and Instagram at 29%. These are the highest, most likely platforms for users to then make a purchase from. So as you can see, we have the post schedule for each one of these platforms, as well as the associated cost, which a total cost of social media campaigns coming in at $900,000. Now, moving right along, we have the cons of our proposed medium one, which is social media. So our first con is ad fatigue. As users see the ads more and more and more, they could become slightly fatigued and then lose interest over time. That's when we could call back to the creativity and variability of the type of posts we're able to generate on these platforms. So by rotating different styled posts, we can avoid clear repetition of the same type of ad that users will just get sick of after a certain amount of time, and will truly just allow us to stay fresh in the minds of our target demographic. So con number two is the unpredictability rather of algorithms on our platform. See, that is why we've chosen to move forward with three selected platforms as opposed to just one. So by opting to go for three, we avoid an over-reliance on any singular platform, and we can prepare more readily for algorithm adjustments on a given platform. So for example, if the TikTok algorithm is semi-skewed for a certain amount of time, we still have our other two verticals that we're pushing at the same time. That would avoid an over-reliance on that one platform that now has their algorithm acting differently. Now, in addition to this strategy, we can also boost posts during downtimes. Meaning, if the algorithm has skewed attention away from a given advertisement for a small period, we can boost that post to alleviate some of these damages. Now, the boosting posts also works in the inverse. So when we have reached a peak and we see an advertisement that's really gaining a lot of traction, we can boost that post to really double and triple down on that engagement to drive as much attention to the advertisement as possible and truly promote awareness. Now, con number three, which is social media activity, doesn't always lead to actual tangible sales. The only way that we can truly overcome this is by selecting the platforms that have the highest percentage of purchases, as addressed earlier. By selecting only platforms that we know of a high conversion rate, we're cutting out a lot of that redundancy and posts that won't generate to actual sales. Now, moving on to our second medium, which is digital audio. Now, digital audio, we're going to be specifically focusing on podcasts as opposed to traditional radio. Now, the great thing about podcasts and digital audio in general is that we're able to reach these women who may be commuting, doing other activities that are away from their screens. So as opposed to the social media approach that requires people to actually be on their phones, this digital audio approach is more in the background. So it allows us to capitalize on times when they're not actively engaged in their phone on different content, but they can just hear the advertisement for what it is. It also allows us to capitalize on the growing popularity of podcast culture. And then not only podcast culture in general, but we'll be able to place these ads specifically in podcasts that resonate with our target demographic. So, various female influencers that have large podcasts or just self help podcasts. These are perfect opportunities to reach women aged 18 to 34. We can put our ads into these platforms and have a high interest rate. Now, number of women who listen to podcasts has actually risen by uh, three times since 2015, and it continues to climb even today as podcast culture really sets in. So, this is a perfect medium to truly get the Beauti name out there. Now, furthermore, the highest rates of purchase intention across advertising mediums actually exists within podcasting. So we predict that this aspect of our campaign of utilizing both Spotify and Apple Podcasts will be highly beneficial to the overall success of the media campaign. So as you can see, we have the timings and the schedules for each of these selected podcast platforms of 5 spots per month over the course of 3 months. And the combined cost of using each of these verticals is $600,000. So combined with the previous 900,000 from social media, that brings us to $1.5 million. And as we continue on, we now have the cons of medium two. So con number one is that your ads may be skipped. So by choosing specific podcasts that directly correlate to the interests of our target demographic, we have a much lower rate of these ads being skipped, as they not only is there a degree of credibility and they trust the ads that are going to be placed within this podcast, but they're interested in the topics in which we are presenting. Now, moving on to con number two. Sorry about that, lighting problems. It could prove harder to track success on podcast related ads. So we can bypass this and overcome this by actually including promo codes for a small discount that's only available via our digital audio platforms. This way, we know if the promo code is used, then the traffic actually comes from the podcast listeners. And that way we can measure our progress. Now, con number three, the entire target audience is not confined to a specific podcast. This is why we're going to be selecting multiple podcasts on multiple different platforms of Spotify and Apple Podcasts to truly broaden our reach. Now, moving on to medium three, digital video. Now, digital video, we're going to be moving forward with two different platforms of YouTube and Hulu. As you can see, the timing and schedules for each of these selected um, digital video platforms down below. Now, with YouTube, we have the specifications for various time slots in which we have seen that people are most active on YouTube as well as Hulu. Now, this similarly to social media, there is a heavy prevalence with our target demographic, women aged 18 to 34. And these video advertisements can be more correlated to scent. They can bring sensory driven content, although we can't actually smell through the phone or through the video, rather. There is ways to present the video or the content in a certain light that can suggest scent driven responses. Individuals who are more receptive to digital video advertising when they are already on digital video platforms. So, for example, as opposed to when you're scrolling social media and you happen to come across a video. If you're already watching a long form video content, whether that be on YouTube or Hulu, you can be more receptive to a smaller short form video content or via our advertisement. And now you can also, the layer of diversification in your digital video, it truly just, in the digital video ads rather, it adds just another layer of variability, another layer of spontaneity in which none of the ads appear the same. It avoids repetition. And together, these three approaches, they all kind of tackle various different aspects of the interest of the target demographic that we're hoping to seek. We're going to be spending $300,000 um, per platform, so a total cost of $600,000. Now, moving on to the cons of Medium 3, again, your ads may be skipped. That is why we're going to overcome this with the inclusion of Hulu, so that platform actually restricts ads from being skipped and ensures that they're watched in their entirety. So that's very brand friendly. We're going to be pairing that with Hulu as well as YouTube. Um, and then moving on to con number 2, higher prices for the video ads as opposed to audio and some social media advertisements. We're going to, as I said before, the use of multiple mediums, it keeps costs down. We're going to avoid becoming over reliant on one specific type of ads. As I am now referencing again, it's the variability, the use of all three types of these mediums, all coexisting and picking up different segments of the target market that aren't applicable. This is going to help us avoid over reliance and help us reach the full width of our target market. And now, finally, the third con is a negative brand perception due to disruption. So that's when you're watching a long form video content, and then suddenly it's disrupted by an ad that you perceive to be not relevant to the topic that you're watching. And I think that the best way to go around doing this is to actually just increase the quality of the advertisement itself. So that's providing a stimulating visual content that provides an experience. So taking that long form content watcher on an experience rather than just a departure from their entertainment. You want to open up the possibility to be entertained and to truly go along on that journey with us, rather than just feeling like it's a blatant departure from whatever they were watching before. And now, just a recap of the three mediums that we suggested. So that was social media, digital audio, and digital video. Now, for social media, we have our three selected platforms of Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Digital audio of our two selected platforms of Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And digital video are two selected platforms of YouTube and Hulu. Each of these different mediums and then the different platforms within each medium play a pivotal role in telling the brand story that we think that we want to accomplish here at Beauti. This approach allows us to effectively gain the mass attention that we are looking for with a combined price of $2.1 million, which is well under and well within the budget of $3 million. Now, with that being said, I'd just like to thank you so much all again for listening to today's presentation. I hope now that you can see that this proposed three-pronged media campaign that we have cultivated is the optimal way to boost awareness and the future sales of beauty fragrance. And I truly hope that you'll embark on this journey with us as we continue to move towards the future, one spritz closer to success.